Hello, guys, and we are back. We are back with our phenomenal talks. And you know that we love talking about matters that matter the most. And today we proceed with talking about the energy that sits within us, masculinity and femininity. It is not a question of gender, it is the question of understanding who you truly are at your core, and then understanding how the other part of you can complement something else that you may embody, and how to make it dance together beautifully. Today I have a guest with me all the way from Salt Lake City, Michael Vanderplas, and please help me welcome Michael to the stage. Hi Michael, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. It's good to finally meet up with you again.
Oh, I'm so happy. I'm so happy, and I'm so pleased that you're sharing your time and your wisdom with us. Michael, would you please introduce yourself to the audience?
Yeah, so my name is Michael Vanderplas. I grew up here in Utah, so we've got a whole bunch of mountains here. So I grew up hiking the mountains, and then when I was about 19, I went away and lived in Brazil for a few years, learned Portuguese.
Gostosa.
Yeah, gostosa. Yeah, gostosa. Exactly. So I lived there, came back home, studied logistics and operational management, and worked in that field for a while. And then I found out that that wasn't really matching with my personality and who I truly was. And so I became a nurse. I've been doing ICU critical care nursing for the past 14 years. On top of that, I've been doing life coaching and trainings for about the past 5 years. I've worked with Inc. 500 companies. I've helped coach people in everywhere from housewives to high-ranking executives who are making $200 million and above. And both of those were females, actually. My friend that I helped get the goal of 200 million, she is a female and fantastic lady. And so I do that. And I'm actually traveling to Brazil tomorrow to do a presentation. I'm doing Angola for 2 weeks in October to help some people with some training there. And in the week after, so next week, I'm actually doing a week-long training in Atlanta, Georgia. So get out and about, and I like talking to people, and I like helping people out.
I think it's a true heart calling that is now global, and soon you're coming back to Australia, right? Because you love Australia so much. Oh, this is beautiful. I am so happy that you actually got that knock on your door and you open up your heart wide enough to do what you really love to doing and what you were meant to do. And Michael, you as a representative of a male group who I know is very, very masculine at core, and I know that you have this fine, beautiful, kind heart. Would you please tell us, what does it mean to be masculine for you, for type of person that you are?
For me, I think what it means to me basically is standing for something you believe in, and doing it with an open mind and a kind heart. I think being a man doesn't need to be somebody mean who is overbearing. In fact, I think the most confident man is a guy who is comfortable in accepting somebody else for who they are, but also standing firm in what he believes. It doesn't need to be done with hatred or anger or what some people would say like physical force, but with an inner knowing of who you are and your own self and that strength. And so that's a big part of what being a man is for me, the masculinity. And I see that masculinity, like you said, is not gender. It's in each one of us. So I know you, and I know that you have got some very beautiful masculine traits in you, whereas I know that in me, I've got some very feminine, loving feminine energy in me as well.
Nice answer. I like how you composed it and you actually combined and let people again hear that it's not about gender, it's about who you really are.
Yeah.
Michael, did your perception of masculinity, did it have or does it have anything to do with the beautiful story of the ancient Viking that you
We talked about that once, didn't we? So it's funny, I have a lot of people who will say to me, they're like, oh, you look like a Viking. And that's actually some of my heritage from my family. My father's from Northern Friesland. My ancestry is from Northern Friesland in Holland. And I did some research on Thor. And one of the things that I loved about him is we always see him as this huge masculine guy, you know, Chris Hemsworth from Australia. Yeah, thanks for sharing him with us. Like I'm predominantly heterosexual, and you look at that guy and you're like, good job, man. You're doing fine as a man. So, but you know, you see this big masculine man, but if you read the ancient legends about him, he was sent to be a protectorant, to be somebody who watched over humankind to protect him. And so while he was huge and strong, he utilized that strength, that physical, mental, emotional strength, in order to serve others and protect others. And that's an interesting thing, because that at its core builds trust in who he is, which gives him even more strength. So it's an interesting circle. Him standing for something, him standing in his truth, in that strength, lets other people see him as an example and know that he is a constant. And I think that's a very beautiful thing. So
standing for the truth, being constant, and having this huge kind heart. Just like you have with your
thank you.
Being a nurse in an intensive care unit, I think it requires a lot of heart. And thank you for sharing such a beautiful story. I think a lot of wisdom comes from mythology and history, right? Where we can reflect on the core, where it's before the internet, where people had this delusional view or confusion maybe of who they should become, who they should be.
Yeah.
The mythology is the core, the basis. I love that story. I may use it if you don't mind. I'll research. Thank you. Michael, in your life, have you ever been confused about who you are at core? Or maybe you had a point where you needed to decide, okay, I am a masculine man, and this is what masculinity is, and this is who I am going to be from today.
First off, I just want to say, of course. Of course I've been confused who I am. Once when I was in high school, when I was finishing up high school, I had two of my friends come out as homosexuals. And so I questioned, I was like, well, is there the possibility that I am as well? And so I investigated that in my mind. It was about a 2-week process. I investigated it in my mind. I thought about it. I was like, is there that possibility that that's lying underneath? And I decided that I wasn't. I was like, no, I'm not. That's great for this friend, and that's great for this other friend. And I said, the biggest thing that was the change for me into embracing my masculinity was only about 4 or 5 years ago, actually. Mm-hmm. I've been big like this, but I really embraced the masculine stronger. And it was because I was talking with this one girl, Mallory, fantastic human. And I was being kind of tender and crying a little bit and talking to her about something that affected me emotionally. And I remember I said, gosh, I'm just such a wuss. I'm such a wuss. I'm such a wimp. 6'4" feet tall, 280 pounds, but I was a wimp. And I remember it wasn't just the words she said, it was the way she said it. I remember she put her hand on my chest And she looked at me and she said, "You are a man's man." She said, "You are the epitome of masculinity." And those words took a while to sink into my mind. It took a month or two, but then it finally just dropped and tweaked. And I thought, I am this man. And I see a lot of people who look up to me. So that was the defining moment of when, and I'm so lucky that I know that moment where I defined my masculinity. And what it was is, if I stand strong and these other people see confidence in me, and then I'm kind and I show that confidence to them, and I say to that person, like, I love doing this when I go dancing. I love going to dance clubs. And I'll find the nerd, the guy that's a nerd that girls aren't looking at. I'll find the girl who's chubby, and I smile at them and I say, "We're having a great time, aren't we? We're having a great time." And they're like, "Yeah." And then, because I already know that I look like the cool guy, and then I start telling them things. I'm like, "You're awesome. You're amazing. Oh, I'm so glad you're here." And then what that does is you see this flower of confidence just completely open up. And you see this person who was kind of dancing like, like that, just be like full of energy because they know who they are. And that's because I embraced who I was, showed my confidence to be this confident, authentic, loving human, and that I appreciate them and accept them. And then that helps sometimes bring their confidence up. And that's my goal. That's my goal.
I know, you did it to me, I think, right? That's how we started talking. It was similar. I was just reflecting on that.
Yeah.
Amazing. To share what you give, you get.
Yeah. Well, at that training we were at, that's not long training. That was the longest, toughest training of my life so far. And I'm so glad I got to meet you. I wish we would have talked more, but now we're doing this. But
we can do
I love building groups. I love building teams, and that's one of the things. So Thor. Protector.
Thank you for that. And Michael, I'm just wondering if you could define a couple of tips for maybe for men, maybe for people in general who want to stay more in the masculine core. How to be masculine? What do you need to do? Do you need to, I don't know, shave every morning? Like, what? How do you do that?
The biggest thing for me is I sometimes help guys learn how to pick up on girls. And it's a little thing. I say 3 things, and then I'm going to give a 4th thing just really quickly as well. But I say this, but I've adapted it to any social interaction. And the first thing is to smile. Smile all the time. Because if you're smiling, it shows that you're confident in who you are. When people are angry and being grumpy and stuff, it's usually a fake bravado. It's not a true alpha masculine type behavior. When you're confident in who you are, you look at the world and you see it as the fun joke that it is. And you see it as the beauty. So you're just smiling at life. You're just like, oh, okay, yeah, that's funny. Yeah, all right. And so when you have that smile and you turn to somebody, they feel that acceptance. We know that in our minds, we have mirror neurons. When you smile at a little baby, what does the baby do? The baby smiles back. And this is built into our limbic system. This is built into our midbrain over millions of years of evolution for us to create bonds in order for us to survive. And so when I'm able to smile and be that authentic person, that hunter-gatherer from 15,000 years ago,
right, and create that group, that shows masculinity to me. The second thing is to talk to everybody. And when I'm talking to guys or girls and in how to relate to somebody of the opposite sex or their same sex, if that's their preference, but somebody that they're interested in, I tell them, talk to everyone. Young, old, beautiful, ugly, male, female, doesn't matter. Talk to everybody, because when you start talking more, it creates community. And as a human species, we physiologically need, we're
are hardwired to need to connect with other people. Some animals can live alone. Humans need groups in order to physiologically survive. And so that's one of the things, is talk to other people. And then the third thing is a little bit strange, and I'm not sure if it quite applies to this, but I always say read books. And it's funny because I'll have some young guys sometimes, and they'll be like, what do you mean read books? I was like, well, reading books creates your mind. It creates this strength in who you are. And when you can read, then you can write. And when you're writing, you're thinking. And when you can think through a concept that's put out to you and either agree with or debate that with intellect, with something that backs it up, you're solid. You're still. You are fierce. I heard one guy say, you're deadly. You know, if you create that strength of mind, you're deadly. And so that's something. I've always had my strong body. I've worked to create a strong mind. And I feel more masculine because of my strong mind than because of my strong body. And then on top of that, just one other teeny little thing real quick is do some exercise. Exercise, heavy weights, do push-ups, do bench press, do squats. You know, when you do that, as a male, you're working, utilizing your testosterone, helping to reproduce more testosterone. And females, it's androgen, which is released from the adrenal cortex, which is a hormone on top of the kidneys. So it helps to create that feeling of strength, and it decreases your cortisol levels, which has been shown to make you more submissive and lower in a dominance hierarchy. So
to be a man, you need to do the push-ups.
Yeah, I like it. It's a man thing.
And great work, Michael, because you actually are a walking example of what you're preaching. Like, work on yourself, invest in yourself, do the job. You talk to everyone. I know, I witnessed that, and you smile all the time. I love it. I'm not sure if you're doing the push-ups and the lifting weights, but I can believe so.
Yeah.
Beautiful tips.
I do.
Thank you. Michael, what inspires you in life? We've got one life that we know of. Maybe we live multiples. I'm open to that idea, but I've got one life, and I think this desire to make myself better, to help other people be better, really motivates me. It pushes me to, as a nurse, I've seen a lot of pain. I've seen a lot of pain, both physically and emotionally. And I can't stand it. I know that there's been times in my life where I've been suicidal. I've thought of taking my own life. And I know that I've seen a lot of other people with that same mental pain and anguish. And I've had some friends who have gone down that path. And I can't stand for that. I can't accept that. I need to see people knowing their own beauty, knowing their own love, knowing their own self-worth, and growing. And getting rid of that damn pain. Like it really just pisses me off to see people in pain. Because there's so many beautiful things. There's joy in pain. There's an advantage to having pain because it helps us to see joy and understand joy better. But it doesn't need to be a constant in our lives. And so that's the thing that motivates me the most. Thanks for asking that question, because when you first asked that question, I thought I was going to answer it differently, but that just kind of came out. So I think that's the true thing. So yeah. Comes from your heart. Thank you for sharing your heart.
Yeah.
Michael, what would be your ultimate wish for the audience, like for today and for forever? what would you let them know? I wish.
I think my ultimate wish for the audience would to be this, is to do one of two things. One, to know that you have worth. To know that there is love directed to you from somewhere. And if it's not from someone you know that I may not know you, but that I do care about you. And that energy is sent out to you. And if that person in the audience, if you're listening right now and you're there in the audience and you have some self-doubt and you have some hard times, if you can just open your mind and your heart to feel a little bit of love, know that that's coming from me and from Oksana as well. I know she's a lovely lady. And then the second thing is this, is if you are not able to feel that, just know that the possibility of being loved is there. And this is coming from a guy who's thought bad thoughts, who's thought about ending it himself. And there's a way through, and you get through. 5 years ago, I was in a really dark space, and I was thinking of ending it. And since then, last Sunday, I saved a lady's life at work as a nurse. I saved her life. Not to brag, but I kind of went against some of the things that the doctor said, pushed forward. I stayed strong in who I was because I knew what this patient needed, and it saved her life. That life wouldn't have been saved if I would have taken mine years ago. We don't know the effect that we have on people for good, and it's usually a lot more good than you think. There are people who are thankful for your existence every day, even if they don't see you. And that would be my greatest wish for the audience, to know.
Michael, you make me teary. This is so beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.
I am so grateful that you got your heart and mind connected properly, so you are with us and you're doing the miracles that you're doing. And thank you so much, Michael. If I could, I would hug you with all my muscles. And please, people, listen to this audio, listen to it over and over again, and listen to this specific message that Michael just shared. You have worth, and you are loved, and you're needed, and people are loving and needing you, even when you think that nobody cares about you. Life is about something greater. Know who you are at your core, and know that you are worthy. Michael, it was amazing. I am I cry all the time. I'm emotional, but today was a special. I wish I could give you a hug. Thank you so much for sharing your heart with us. And people, please feel free to find Michael. Michael, do you want to share your website? Do you have your connections, how people can connect with you?
I'm actually working on my website right now. They can find me on LinkedIn at Michael Vanderplas. On Facebook, Michael Vanderplas. There's two or three accounts with me. Find the one that has the most people on it, because there's 2 people who have made different accounts for me. Some people in Brazil that are kind of fans of some of my work. So just find Michael Vanderplas on Facebook. I sometimes put up little posts. I put up some funny things. I actually did a video of me dancing at work. It's got close to 50,000 views already.
I saw that. It's popular.
Yeah, it's popular. I was like, wow, I was just doing this for a friend to be happy. I had a friend at work and I was trying to cheer her up. So I told her to just watch in that camera. And I didn't know she was recording it, but I'm glad she was. It was kind of funny. But just kind of do that and check it out. And I like to leave messages from time to time and let people know kind of some of the things that I'm doing. So.
And you're doing wonderful things. And thank you for sharing, Michael. I'm sure you have just saved at least one life. Well, given this talk, and it will be widely spread. People, please watch, ask questions, research, and contact if you feel like you need that, because you are worthy. Know your worth. Michael, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time, your wisdom, and your heart. I am really, really pleased, and I'm loving this. And we'll be seeing you later.
Okay, we'll see you later, my friend.
Thank you.